One of the things that makes Nintendo the most exciting company to cover is that you just never know what's going to happen on a day to day, week to week, month to month situation. There are so many times when you think that there's nothing coming up, but then this gets leaked and that gets shown off, and then there's a big Nintendo Direct, and it creates a certain excitement that you just can't replicate with any other companies. Now, everybody does directs now at this point, and everybody tries to do certain things with certain games, but it never just quite hits the same way. And I think that's why it's unique, and it's great that we have different companies, whether it's Valve, Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, that all do things a little bit differently and all kind of add their own sauce to the mix. But there's a certain type of blend seasoning that is unique to Nintendo that for me makes making videos about what we're going to talk about when it comes to different games super exciting. And we're going to discuss that with some big games like Kingdom Hearts, Star Wars, and more that shows that there is a mounting evidence of a massive Nintendo Direct for February, and of course catching up on a couple other games that we knew about beforehand but could be getting release dates. But what else is exciting is this Nintendo Switch 2 giveaway that we're doing. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to have a chance to win, and drop a comment below. I will be picking a winner once we hit 150,000 subscribers. I'm also giving away a $50 eShop card at the end of this month, and we'll have new giveaways for eShop cards, credit, games, every single month. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and click that notification bell, and drop the comments below on what you think. Okay, let's get into this here, because we have a new leak that's coming out from Nash Weedle, and he stated that the Kingdom Hearts Integrum Masterpiece, and if I'm saying that incorrectly, sorry about that, but this massive compendium collection of games is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, and it's coming potentially announced more sooner than later. Now, I actually had to look up all of this because, as many of you guys know, we already have the Kingdom Hearts games as cloud versions on the Nintendo Switch 1, which really pissed off a ton of people, and I completely understand. I do not like cloud gaming, and Nintendo Switch 1's cloud stuff is not even the best type of cloud gaming, the streaming technology and all of that, so it's not a great experience in my opinion, unless you have tier 1 top internet and there's nothing else going on, and even then there can be some issues with latency and input delay, so cloud versions of games is not it, but they are there. People have been wanting a native version and stated that why didn't they do that? Well, I think now with the Nintendo Switch 2 and this new information that's coming out from Nash Weedle, where he does state that the Kingdom Hearts Integrum Masterpiece is coming over, it looks like Square Enix finally has the overhead and the system power maybe that they need to get an easier port from x86, PlayStation, Xbox, PC to the ARM architecture overall. Now, for those who don't know, here is what games are coming over. Now, the Kingdom Hearts Integrum Masterpiece is a compendium of games in the Kingdom Hearts series. It was released back in 2022 as a cloud version on the Nintendo Switch as a bundled pack together. It was later released for the PC and Steam on June 13th, 2024. So here's what you get with all of it. You get Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 Remix. That's Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. That's an enhanced version of Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. That's a remake of Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Kingdom Hearts 358 by 2 Days. That's remade as a movie, I guess, for you to watch to see what happens in that game. And that's originally, I think, the DS game. Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, which is an enhanced version of Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix. That is an enhanced version of Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. I think that's a PSP game. Kingdom Hearts Recoded, remade as a movie, and that might be like a GBA game or something. Don't quote me on all this, guys. I'm not the best when it comes to Kingdom Hearts stuff. You also get Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, and that comes with Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance HD. That's an HD port of Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance. That's from the Nintendo 3DS. Kingdom Hearts Back Cover. That's a tie-in movie to Kingdom Hearts X. Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage. That is a sequel of the Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep and a prologue to Kingdom Hearts 3. Then there's also Kingdom Hearts 3. That's the conclusion of the Dark Seeker saga. Then there's Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind, the DLC expansion for Kingdom Hearts 3. So that was the Integram Masterpiece, all of those put together, which were also released separately in certain types of ways on Xbox and PlayStation, but they kind of put it together for the Nintendo Switch Cloud, then later on PC, Steam, and all of that. So apparently that whole massive collection is coming native to the Nintendo Switch 2. So if that was the case, once again, it shows that there is big evidence mounting that there will be a Nintendo Direct coming up here in February or March. I'm guessing that it's going to be more towards February because Nintendo wants to get the new games, wants to get the announcements of all of the big spring games that were already announced for last year, get those dated, and then of course date the summer, date the fall, some of the new games to bring excitement to the Nintendo Switch 2 platform before the end of the quarter. Because March, that'll be the end of the quarter, and then of course their financial results. Nintendo needs to put in some strong results. All things considered, they launch in a new system. I think that that is going to be a way that they can bring some hype and excitement and more value to the system overall by announcing some great stuff and having a nice mix of first and third party games like they've done at many Nintendo Directs before. So if this full Kingdom Hearts Integram Masterpiece is to come over, that would be awesome, because having it cloud is not great, and having it anywhere that you want with all those Kingdom Hearts games native on the platform in good quality provides, in my opinion, significantly better quality than what you'd be able to get on Xbox or PlayStation. And even to a degree, if it's made in a certain way and made right, even better than maybe what you get on PC handhelds overall. So if they're able to get this done, which I'm hoping it's not a cloud thing, which I don't think it would be a cloud thing, because if it was already there, you can access it on your Nintendo Switch 2 since it's already on Nintendo Switch 1. So it does look like, based off of what Nash Riedel said and based off of what Square Enix has said, which I think is definitely important, that a lot of their AAA games, a lot of their big stuff is going to be coming over to Nintendo Switch 2. Like, they know that they need to get that going, and they've been one of the biggest, if not the biggest, third-party supporter of the Nintendo Switch 2 from the jump. There are a ton of Square Enix games that you can play on the platform. They're pretty much releasing games all the time when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2. So I definitely expect Kingdom Hearts to come over based off of what Square Enix has already done on the Switch 2 and based off of what their new business plan says to do as well, incorporating all of their games, even AAA titles, AA titles, smaller titles, everything for all platforms, and especially with the Nintendo Switch 2, considering the domination that we see and the sales numbers in Japan for a lot of their games when it comes to Kingdom Hearts and all that. That sells best on the Nintendo Switch 2 in Japan. So I'd expect that here, but we're going to have to wait and see. It's not a done deal just yet. We have to wait and see if this is going to be something for this Direct or maybe another Direct. We have summer Directs, we have fall Directs, so it could be shuffled in or out depending on when it's ready or what the release date's going to be or a large number of other things. So it's not 100% confirmed or guaranteed. Take it with a grain of salt for now, but I do see something like this potentially happening. And we're going to move into other things that are happening that once again shows that there is a big Nintendo Direct mounting, because a game that a lot of Nintendo fans maybe forgot about but was talked about quite a bit was Borderlands 4. And why is this game important? Well, because it vanished. It was supposed to come out last year in 2025. They did a creator's voice video with Randy Crazy Man Pitchford and all of that, and people were like, okay, this is great. This is a big current generation game that's on PlayStation and Xbox, and it's coming over to Nintendo Switch 2. That shows that it has some juice to it, has some power. It can handle some of these bigger games, because there's always those doubters when it comes to Nintendo platforms, and I get it. I 100% get that overall, but what we've seen so far from a lot of the different ports on Xbox and PlayStation, that the Nintendo Switch 2 can handle these big current gen games, and handles them pretty well, all things considered, considering you can take it anywhere that you want. But when they showed off Borderlands 4 at like an event, there was like PAX or some type of events, it just looked kind of rough. It just looked rough, looked like the frame rate was bad. I know Josie Woe, shout outs to Josie Woe, she got a chance to play it, or she got a chance to look at it when she went to an event, and she was like, yeah, this does not look great overall. The frame rate looks rough, so they needed more time. And there's no reason for a game like Borderlands 4. I get it that it is Unreal Engine 5, there are some optimization stuff, but there's no reason why a game like that shouldn't run good on the Nintendo Switch 2. And I think that what we've seen since the delay of Borderlands 4 is that there has been apparently some upcoming modifications and some updates to Unreal Engine 5 in order for it to be better optimized on all platforms and including the Nintendo Switch 2. So I do think that they probably had to wait for that. And there was a similar thing that happened with Unreal Engine 4, where developers were having issues with Unreal Engine 4 games on the Nintendo Switch 1 back when that came out. Even Dragon Quest 11, that game had to be delayed because the version of Unreal Engine 4 just wasn't good enough for what they were trying to do. So they essentially made it from the ground up. They did not port the game from PlayStation 4. They made it specifically for Dragon Quest 11, and they made it into Echoes of an Elusive Age and added more content and just made it a better game overall. So I do think that with this delay, and with this Portuguese retailer now coming in to say that they have a release date of February 27th at this point, and it does look like that could also be announced at a Nintendo Direct, showing off new footage of the game, showing off some of the features, if they're going to do game share or other things like that, and then give us that release date. So that's something that people have been waiting for when it comes to Borderlands. Portable Borderlands could be pretty fun, being able to take that type of game, looter, shooter, and anywhere that you want, and kind of play it in that type of way. I think that'd be pretty cool for people out there. So if they can get this game out in February, that'd be pretty good. The game was supposed to launch back in I think September, October, something like that. I think it was supposed to be around the time of the Xbox and PlayStation version, but it just got delayed indefinitely, and they've said nothing since then. So usually when they go radio silent, that means it's Nintendo Direct time. When it comes to certain games that were supposed to come out, games like Elden Ring, I think that's also Nintendo Direct time. I can see them pairing that up with the Duskbloods and having a presentation and saying, hey, check out these two games from Software, or developed by From Software, and then also something like Borderlands 4. Maybe they have something else for us too. Maybe some updates for the previous Borderlands games because we had to wait. I think that's something that they can really pair up, and that'd be like, okay, we had to wait, but now you have updates for the Nintendo Switch 2 for all of the Borderlands games, and now they run and look better if you play them on Switch 2. I think that would be really cool and get people excited for Borderlands 4 as well on the platforms. We'll see what happens when it comes to Borderlands and what they do with the Nintendo Direct, but yeah, it does seem, based off this listing here and based off of what we talked about and other stuff that we're going to get into, that the evidence is mounting overall for this upcoming Nintendo Direct that we usually get in February. When it comes down to it, guys, it's not like that's a secret or something like that. Directs usually happen in February. So I do think that this is just something that's going to happen overall. So what do you guys think about that? You can let me know in the comment section. But next up, we are going to move to a very interesting random update that we got for Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. We've got a major free update for the Nintendo Switch 1 and for the Nintendo Switch 2. So they released a new version of this, and in this you're going to be able to play as Dixie Kong. They added Dixie into there. They also gave her a new ground pound move with her hair, plus her normal twirling that she usually has in the Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze game, and they added a new mode, a turbo mode that makes the game even harder because it's sped up even more. In addition to that, they fixed the game. A lot of people, especially the reviewers, slammed this game, calling it a lazy port on the Nintendo Switch 1 because of some frame rate issues, some visual quality issues, some things like that. But now that has been fixed up on the Nintendo Switch 2. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's happening here when it comes down to everything. So version 1.1.0, it's been released. It is out. You can go download it now. I know I picked it up. I'm going to check it out myself. And it says the following updates have been made when playing the game on the Nintendo Switch 2 and the Nintendo Switch. So you can play now as Dixie Kong. Her action when jumping is different from when Diddy jumps. When playing alone, you can grab a barrel. You can switch between either Diddy Kong or Dixie Kong as the character that appears. When playing with two people, P2 or player 2 can switch between Diddy Kong or Dixie Kong by pressing the stick. The left stick in the case of playing with both Joy-Con 2 and Joy-Con controllers on the world map. Now they've added this turbo mode. So the turbo attack mode is where you can race through a stage at high speed. That's been added in. If you clear the course once, it will appear at the same time as the time attack mode. You can clear it within the time limit. You'll acquire a turbo medal. They do now support Brazilian Portuguese language. So shout out to all my Brazilian Portuguese peeps out there. You can switch the language within the language setting of the system menu and system settings. Several other issues have been addressed, and image quality enhancements have been made to improve the gameplay experience. So even on the Nintendo Switch 1, they've improved some of the visual oddities and issues that this game has had. You don't necessarily need to have the Switch 2 version of the game or have a Switch 2 to get some better improvements when it comes to image quality. Okay, let's talk about Nintendo Switch 2 upgrades to this. So the game now supports game share for local. You can select game share local user from 2 players on the game start screen or the menu screen in the world map. Now Now, they optimized it for the Nintendo Switch 2 display and high-resolution TVs for an improved image quality. The loading time is now shorter as well. So this game also had some frame rate issues overall on the Nintendo Switch 1. Now, I don't know if this update for the Switch 1 fixed that within the Switch 1 version, but we know for a fact that those issues will be smoothed out or maybe even better on the Nintendo Switch 2, because I think it already did that, because the game ran at a target of 60 but would dip here and there. I think Switch 2 already smoothed that out, but I'm thinking that it's rock solid now 100% now that there is a free update for the Nintendo Switch 2, and it's been optimized for the TV play. So it's probably running like 1440p, or it's running at 4K or something like that. It's running at much cleaner resolution, which it did look kind of crusty on a bigger TV if you were playing it on there. It looked okay on the Nintendo Switch 1 screen or the Switch 2 screen if you're playing it on there. But yeah, with some of those issues when it comes to Switch 1, with the looks of it, the image quality and all that, that has been smoothed out and now looks better on Switch 2 and even looks maybe a bit better even on Switch 1 based off of this update here. So I'm glad that they did fix it up. I have seen some people say that they're doing this instead of like Mario Kart or instead of Xenoblade or instead of Astral Chain, and that's definitely not it. This was probably done by a very small team in not a lot of time. Whereas a game like Xenoblade or a game like Mario Kart World or a game like whatever, the bigger games, those are going to take a lot more time, and they're probably going to want to announce those at Nintendo Directs surrounding and around certain games overall. I don't think it's just going to be a random drop on a Tuesday. So it is different based on what game you're doing when it comes to time and resources. So just keep that in mind. But it's good to see that they are still doing free updates. We got one for Splatoon 3 last year. We got one when it comes to Mario and a lot of games at launch. So they are still getting some free updates out. So that's definitely a good thing. And it shows that we are going to get more free updates in the future. So we'll see what happens like with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, or we'll see what happens with some of the other games. But yes, I still think that Astral Chain and some of these other titles are coming over. I just don't know if those are going to be free updates or stuff that you'd have to pay like $10 or $5 for, like Animal Crossing or like The Legend of Zelda. It just depends. I think it's going to be from a game to game type of basis, because Xenoblade games seem like there'd be a lot of work to do, so they might actually charge for something like that instead of like a free update. But once again, we'll have to wait and see. I do think that the Nintendo Direct coming up, we're probably going to get a few more answers on some updates for Switch 1 games to the Nintendo Switch 2. But once again, definitely good to see a free update here, and hopefully there's a lot more in the future. So what do you guys think about everything that we talked about here? A lot of different games, a lot of cool hype and stuff that's happening. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.